In the glass-walled corner office of Ridgeway Metals Energy, he didn't even bother to look up from his laptop. "We're terminating you effective immediately. Security will escort you out," Blake Merritt said, his voice carrying the casual cruelty of someone ordering coffee. While you're here, don't forget to subscribe, hit the hype button, and support this channel with a like. And tell us below, have you ever faced something like this? I set my badge on the table slowly, deliberately, calm, controlled. "Fine," I said quietly. "But do me a favor. Tell your father the board meeting in 3 hours will be interesting." He didn't flinch, didn't even react. He had no idea. 72%? That's what I owned. Every system he thought he controlled. Every corner of this empire he believed he had under his thumb. Mine. I turned, letting a small, amused smile brush my lips. Walking out of the building, I felt the weight of it all, the irony, the inevitability, settle around me like a cloak. I picked up my phone and called my wife, saying only one word. Begin. The lobby of Ridgeway Metals Energy stretches an unforgiving 60 feet from the elevator banks to the main entrance, a cavern of glass and steel that gleams in the morning light. Every surface is polished, every line purposeful, corporate minimalism at its absolute finest. It's a space designed to impress, to intimidate, to convey power without saying a word. I've walked through this lobby more times than I can count. 10,000 steps over 30 years. Each one a quiet affirmation of my place in this empire. And now, in a single, surreal moment, I am being escorted out like a common thief. 2 security guards flank me, young men with tight jaws and careful, unthinking posture, probably hired last month. Their eyes are fixed straight ahead, avoiding me, avoiding anyone. They move with mechanical precision, hands hovering near their belts, as though trouble is lurking around every corner. But the trouble they're ready for isn't coming from me. I carry nothing. No box filled with mementos of decades of labor. No framed photos of family, no trophies from long-forgotten deals. Everything I've accumulated remains in the office, exactly as it has always been, untouched, frozen in place. Blake probably expected a scene. Tears, maybe, or a sharp, burning glare. Perhaps rage that would ripple through the polished floors and glass walls. Instead, I give him nothing. The lobby isn't empty. Analysts huddle near the coffee station, murmuring quietly among themselves, unaware that their curiosity will turn to spectacle. Junior executives wait impatiently for the elevators, briefcases in hand, ready for the day to start. And yet, when they see me, the room stills. Conversations falter mid-sentence. Phones are raised, whispered speculation bouncing from mouth to mouth. Word travels fast. The CFO, me, terminated. Escorted by security. Publicly humiliated in minutes. Someone begins recording, a shiny rectangle of judgment and gossip capturing every step I take. I do not flinch. I do not glance away. My expression remains neutral, mask-like, composed. My pace does not waver. My shoulders remain squared, a quiet defiance in the rhythm of my stride. Let them record. Let them whisper. Let the images spread. It changes nothing. Not for me. The guards walk me through the revolving doors into the parking lot. Late September sun hits my face. Temperature in the low 70s. "Mr. Jossman," one of the guards says, "I'm sorry about this." "Don't be," I tell him. "You're just doing your job." I unlock my 10-year-old sedan and slide into the driver's seat. The building looms behind me. 40 stories of glass and ambition. I know every floor, every department. Blake knows the executive suite and the boardroom. That's the difference between us. I pull out my personal phone and call Mara. She answers on the first ring. "Begin," I say. "How did he do it?" she asks. Her voice is calm, clinical. "Exactly as you predicted. Arrogant, dismissive, couldn't even look at me." "Good. That means he's not thinking tactically. He's acting on emotion." "I'm coming home. We need to look at the documents." I've already pulled the trust papers from the safe. Everything's on the dining room table. I end the call and pull out of the parking lot. 30 years of work. 3 decades of loyalty to Gordon Merritt and his vision. And his son just threw me out like garbage. The drive home takes 20 minutes. We live in a neighborhood that predates the industrial boom. Old trees, established houses. Mara's car is in the driveway. I pull in beside it and head inside. She's in the dining room. Documents spread across the table in organized stacks. Her laptop open. A legal pad filled with her precise handwriting. "How do you feel?" she asks. "Honestly, relieved?" She smiles. "Good. That means you're ready." The documents are familiar. I've reviewed them a dozen times over the years, always in private. The trust was Gordon's idea. 30 years ago, when Ridgeway was still a regional player, he called me into his office late one Friday, poured 2 glasses of whiskey, told me he was worried about hostile takeovers. "I need someone I trust holding the majority," he said. "Someone who understands the business." He transferred 72% of the voting shares into a trust with me as the primary trustee. His lawyers structured it carefully. Nothing illegal, just buried in paperwork so dense that nobody bothered to look. The company went public 5 years later, but the trust remained valid, unnoticed, forgotten by everyone except Gordon, his lawyer, and me. Gordon's lawyer passed away 8 years ago. Gordon himself hasn't mentioned the trust in over a decade, and now his son is trying to steal the company. "He doesn't know," Mara says. "Blake has no idea the trust exists." Gordon must have never told him. Why would he? Gordon probably assumed he'd hand the company to Blake properly. He wouldn't have imagined his own son would try to force him out. I pick up one of the documents, the original trust agreement. Gordon's signature, mine. "We need to verify Blake's moves," I say. Mara turns her laptop toward me. On the screen, a flowchart. Blake's personality profile mapped against likely actions. She built this over the past 6 months, watching Blake's behavior at company events. "He has a pattern," she explains. "He identifies obstacles. He removes them publicly. He needs witnesses to validate his authority. So terminating me in front of security establishes dominance, sends a message to everyone else in the building. Which means the board meeting is his next power play. Exactly. He'll present something dramatic, something that makes him look decisive and strong." I study the flowchart. Blake's weaknesses mapped in red, his triggers in yellow, impulsive, egotistical, needs constant validation. "What's his goal?" I ask. "Full control. He wants to privatize the company, push out the board, install his own people." "And Gordon?" "He'll push Gordon into retirement, probably with some generous-looking package that actually strips him of all real authority. Gordon would never agree to that. Not willingly, but Blake will manufacture a crisis, make it look like Gordon is losing his edge, force Gordon to step aside." I sit down across from her. How do we counter it? We let him play his hand. We watch him make mistakes. Then we hit him with evidence he can't dispute. The trust. The trust is our nuclear option. But we need more. We need proof that Blake is actively harming the company. I can access the financial systems. "They haven't locked you out?" "They terminated me as an employee. But the systems recognize me as a trustee, different access level. Blake doesn't understand the architecture well enough to know the difference." Mara leans back. "What can you find?" "Everything. Every transaction. Every contract. If Blake's been setting something up, there'll be traces. Do it. Tonight." I check my watch. 4 hours until midnight. The building will be mostly empty by 8. "I'll need to be careful." "You will be. You always are." She gathers the documents back into organized stacks. "I'll prepare profiles on the board members. We need to know who's likely to side with Blake." "Gordon will be the hardest." "Gordon will be the easiest," she corrects. "He's honorable. Show him proof his son is betraying him, and he'll act." She's right. She's always right about people. I spend the rest of the afternoon preparing. Change into dark clothes, comfortable shoes, gather the tools I'll need. Mara makes dinner. We eat in silence, both focused on our tasks. At 7:30, I kiss her goodbye and head back to Ridgeway. The parking lot is half empty when I arrive. I don't park near the building. Instead, I leave the car 3 blocks away and walk back. The building has 6 entrances. The loading dock on the south side has a maintenance door that's been broken for 3 months. I reported it twice. Nobody fixed it. Corporate negligence becomes my advantage. I slip through the door into a service corridor. The corridor leads to a maintenance elevator. I take it to the 32nd floor, finance department. The floor is dark except for emergency lighting. I move through the space silently. I head to a server room 3 doors down. Locked with a numeric pad I installed myself. The code hasn't been changed. I enter and close the door behind me. The room hums with processors and cooling fans. I connect my laptop to a secondary terminal Blake's IT team doesn't monitor. Legacy system from the previous infrastructure. Still active, still connected to everything. Within minutes, I'm inside the financial network. And what I find makes my hands stop moving. Blake isn't just trying to take control. He's been systematically looting the company for 8 months. Fake vendor contracts, shell companies, offshore accounts, funds rerouted through subsidiary divisions nobody monitors. $47 million. Gone. And Blake's planning to pin it on me. I find the documents in a folder labeled CFO Investigation. draft reports accusing me of embezzlement, falsified transaction records with my credentials attached, a timeline showing systematic theft beginning exactly when I was promoted to CFO. It's sophisticated, almost elegant. If Blake presented this to the board without me there to defend myself, they might believe it. And once I was blamed, Blake would position himself as the hero who discovered the theft. Gordon would be devastated. The board would demand immediate action. Blake would step in as the trusted son, cleaning up the mess. Perfect plan. Except Blake made one critical mistake. He used the company's own systems to build his fake evidence, and every action on those systems is logged. I download everything: transaction records, email chains, draft documents, metadata showing when files were created and who created them. I save it all to the external drive, triple-check the copy, delete my access logs. By the time I finish, 2 hours have passed. I disconnect, restore the terminal to its previous state, and exit the server room. The corridor is still empty. I take the maintenance elevator back down, slip through the broken door, and walk back to my car. Nobody sees me. I drive home carefully, obeying every traffic law. The external drive sits in my jacket pocket like something powerful enough to change everything. Mara is waiting in the dining room. "How bad?" she asks. "Worse than we thought. Better than we hoped." I connect the drive to her laptop and show her the evidence. She goes very still as she reads. "He's not just stealing the company," she says quietly. "He's trying to frame you for stealing it first. 47 million, enough to destroy me completely. Enough to destroy Gordon, too. When the board finds out his CFO embezzled that much under his watch, Gordon's reputation collapses. Blake becomes the savior." Mara closes the laptop. "He's going to present this at the board meeting tomorrow. Probably, or at least start the process. Plant the seeds. Then we need to be ready to counter it. I have proof of when these documents were actually created. I have the real transaction records showing where the money actually went." "Good, but we can't just dump evidence on the table. We need to be strategic." She opens a new document. "Here's what we're going to do." The plan Mara outlines is simple and brutal. We won't defend, we'll attack, but surgically, with precision, letting Blake destroy himself while we guide the collapse. First, Mara says, we need to understand the board meeting's real purpose. Blake isn't just presenting evidence against you. He's establishing a narrative that makes him indispensable. Agreed. Which means we need to undermine that narrative before he even begins. Not with evidence, with doubt. How? She pulls up a list of board members. 12 names. I know them all. 3 categories, Mara explains. Loyalists who'll back Gordon no matter what. Opportunists who'll side with whoever looks strongest. And independents who'll follow evidence. Gordon controls 3 votes. Blake probably has 2. That leaves 7 in play. Exactly. We need 4 of those 7. But we can't approach them directly. Blake would hear about it immediately. So we let Blake make the first move. Right. He'll present his case against you. It'll be confident, polished, backed by documents that look legitimate. And then? Then you ask one simple question, just one. Something that seems innocent but plants doubt in everyone's mind. I lean forward. What question? You ask Blake to explain the metadata timestamps on the financial records he's presenting. I see it immediately. The documents show theft over 2 years, but the files were created last month. Exactly. And when Blake can't explain that discrepancy, the room starts wondering what else he's lying about. He'll try to deflect. He will, and that's when you produce the real transaction records showing where the money actually went. To his shell companies. To his shell companies, in front of the entire board, in front of his father. I sit back, thinking through the scenario. Gordon will be devastated. Gordon will be furious. There's a difference. Blake will try to turn it around, claim I fabricated the evidence. He will, which is why we need a witness, someone Blake can't discredit. Who? Mara pulls up another document. Jennifer Hale, Senior Auditor. She's been with the company 15 years. Impeccable reputation. No political allegiances. I know Jennifer. She's thorough. She's also been suspicious of some recent transactions. I found her inquiry logs in the system access records you pulled. She's been quietly investigating irregularities. Blake doesn't know? Blake doesn't pay attention to anyone below executive level. He has no idea she's been tracking his moves. So we bring her in. We give her the evidence tonight. Let her verify it independently. Then, when Blake presents his case tomorrow, she'll already know it's fabricated. And when I produce the real records, she confirms their authenticity in front of everyone. I look at my wife with renewed admiration. You're terrifying. I'm tactical. There's a difference. We spend the next hour reviewing every detail, timing, phrasing, contingency plans for different scenarios. At 11 p.m., I call Jennifer Hale. She answers on the fourth ring. Tanner, it's late. I know, I'm sorry, but I need to show you something. It's about the company. Silence on the other end. Then, what kind of something? Financial irregularities. Significant ones. I can't discuss them over the phone. You were terminated today. I was, which is why I need someone with credibility to verify what I've found. Another pause. Where? Your office. 20 minutes. I'll be there. I hang up and look at Mara. She's in. Of course she is. She's been waiting for someone to take this seriously. I grab the external drive and head for the door. Tanner, Mara calls after me. I turn. Be careful. Blake's desperate. Desperate people do unpredictable things. I will. The drive to Ridgeway takes 15 minutes at this hour. Jennifer's car is already in the parking lot when I arrive. She's waiting by the side entrance, arms crossed. Inside, she says simply. We take the elevator to the audit department on the 28th floor. Her office is small but organized. Files stacked precisely, computer monitors displaying financial dashboards. Show me, she says. I connect the external drive to her computer and pull up the evidence. Start with Blake's fake investigation file, then the real transaction records, then the metadata proving the timeline fraud. Jennifer doesn't speak, just watches the screen, her expression hardening with each new document. After 20 minutes, she sits back. He's stealing from his own company. Yes. And framing you for it. Yes. How long has this been going on? 8 months, maybe longer. These are just the records I could access in one night. She turns to face me. Why come to me? Because you've been investigating this already. I saw your inquiry logs. She nods slowly. I noticed discrepancies 3 months ago. Small things at first. Vendor contracts that didn't quite match purchase orders. Payments to subsidiaries that couldn't account for the funds. You reported it? To Blake. He's the CEO. He thanked me for my diligence and told me he'd look into it. And? Nothing. The irregularities continued. So I started documenting everything quietly. Do you have proof? I have questions. You have answers. She gestures to the screen. This explains everything I've been seeing. Blake's presenting his case against me at tomorrow's board meeting. I know. I was asked to prepare a preliminary audit summary. Did you? I prepared a summary, but it doesn't say what Blake thinks it says. I feel hope for the first time since this started. What does it say? It says the financial records show irregularities that require further investigation. It does not say you're responsible. Blake assumed I'd give him ammunition. Instead, I gave him a professional non-answer. He'll be furious when he realizes. He'll be exposed when you present this evidence. She copies the files to her own secure drive. I'll verify everything tonight. Run independent analyses. By morning, I'll have documentation that confirms your findings. Thank you. Don't thank me. I'm doing my job. Someone has to. I leave Jennifer's office feeling lighter than I have in days. The pieces are falling into place. But as I walk to my car, I notice something wrong. A vehicle parked 3 spaces from mine. Engine running, headlights off. I slow my pace, scanning the parking lot. Empty except for Jennifer's car and mine, and this one. I reach my car and unlock it quickly. As I open the door, the other vehicle's headlights snap on, blinding me. It accelerates toward me. I throw myself into my car and slam the door. The other vehicle stops inches from my driver's side, blocking me in. 2 men get out. Large, professional, not security guards. One walks to my window and taps on the glass. I don't roll it down. He taps again, harder. I start my engine. He steps back, reaching for something in his jacket. I throw the car into reverse, crank the wheel, and accelerate backward. The car lurches out of the space, tires squealing. The men run toward their vehicle. I shift into drive and floor it toward the exit. In the rearview mirror, I see them jumping back into their car. They're following. I take the first turn out of the parking lot too fast. The sedan's tires protest but hold. Behind me, headlights swing into view. Professional pursuit. Not aggressive, just persistent. They don't want to catch me. They want to see where I go. I consider calling the authorities. But what would I say? 2 men followed me from my former workplace. No threats made, no laws broken yet. Blake's smarter than I thought. I take a series of turns through the industrial park. The roads are empty at this hour. Warehouses dark. Loading docks silent. The headlights stay 3 car lengths back. I need to lose them without leading them home to Mara. Ahead, I see the entrance to a construction site. New warehouse going up. Equipment everywhere. No lights. I cut my headlights and turn hard into the site entrance. The sedan bounces over rough ground. I navigate by ambient light from distant street lamps, weaving between bulldozers and excavators. Behind me, the pursuing vehicle slows at the entrance, hesitates, then follows. I drive deeper into the site, looking for an exit on the far side. The construction area is larger than I expected. Foundation trenches, material piles, temporary fencing. And there, a gap in the fence line where trucks must enter and exit. I aim for it. The pursuing vehicle accelerates, trying to cut me off. I reach the gap first and bounce through onto a service road. Turn left, accelerate hard. In the mirror, the other vehicle struggles through the gap, wider than mine, takes longer to navigate. I gain 50 yards, turn right onto a main road, traffic lights ahead, all red, I run them. An approaching truck blares its horn, I swerve around it and keep accelerating. The pursuing vehicle stops at the lights, can't risk the traffic. I've lost them. I take 6 more turns, doubling back twice before I'm confident they're gone. Then I drive to a 24-hour diner 10 miles from home. Park under streetlights where security cameras can see the car. Inside, I order coffee and sit in a booth facing the windows. My hands are shaking, not from fear, from adrenaline, from anger. Blake sent those men. Had to be Blake. Nobody else has reason to follow me, which means he knows I'm moving against him. I pull out my phone and call Mara. "Are you okay?" She answers immediately. She heard something in my voice when I said hello. I'm fine, but Blake knows. Knows what? That I'm coming after him. He had men follow me from Ridgeway, professional surveillance. Silence. Then, "Where are you?" "Oakmont Diner. I lost them. They don't know where we live. Come home, different route. Park 2 blocks away. I'll be watching." Agreed. "Tanner, this changes things." "I know." "If he's willing to use hired help, he might escalate. He might. We need to move faster. The board meeting is in 9 hours. Then we make sure everything is ready. No mistakes." I finish my coffee and leave cash on the table. The drive home takes 40 minutes using side streets and residential roads. I park where Mara suggested, 2 blocks from our house, cut through a neighbor's yard we've used for 30 years. The house is dark when I enter. Mara's in the living room, curtains drawn, sitting in the dark. "They didn't follow you," she says. "No. But they know you're still active, still investigating." Blake's scared people make mistakes. Scared people also get violent. I sit beside her. I won't let this touch you. It already has. We're in this together. We sit in silence for a moment. Then Mara stands. "I've been thinking about the board meeting. We need to adjust our approach." "How?" "Blake knows you have something. He doesn't know what, but he knows you're not backing down, which means he'll come at you hard from the start, try to discredit you before you can present evidence." "Character attacks." "Exactly. He'll paint you as a disgruntled employee, someone who can't accept being fired, someone willing to fabricate evidence for revenge." "The board knows me." "The board knows the old you, the loyal CFO, but Blake will argue you've changed, that the termination broke something in you." I consider this. How do we counter it? We don't. We let him attack. Let him get emotional and aggressive. Then you stay calm, clinical, present evidence without defending yourself. The contrast. Blake loses control while you demonstrate exactly the competence and professionalism he's claiming you've lost. She's right. Again. We spend the next 3 hours preparing. Mara drills me on responses. Calm phrases, neutral tone. We practice scenarios where Blake gets aggressive and I remain unflappable. By 4 a.m., we're ready. "Get some rest," Mara says. "You need to be sharp." "You too." "I will." But neither of us sleeps much. Too much adrenaline, too much at stake. At 6:30, I shower and dress. Business suit, conservative tie. Look the part of the respected CFO, not the desperate ex-employee. Mara makes breakfast. We eat in silence, both reviewing mental checklists. At 7:45, my phone rings. Jennifer Hale. "I've completed the analysis," she says without preamble. "Everything checks out. The evidence is solid." "Thank you. I'll be at the board meeting. Blake doesn't know I'm coming." "He'll object?" "He can object all he wants. The board bylaws allow senior auditors to attend financial discussions. It's in the charter he probably never read. See you there." I hang up and look at Mara. Jennifer confirmed everything. "Good. Now you have independent verification. Blake's not going to see this coming." "No. He thinks he's walking into a coronation. Instead, he's walking into an execution. At 8:30, I leave for Ridgeway. Mara kisses me at the door. "Remember," she says, "stay calm. Let him destroy himself." I will. The drive to Ridgeway feels different this morning. Not the drive of an employee. The drive of an owner taking back what's his. The parking lot is full. Board meeting days always draw crowds. Executives positioning themselves. Analysts trying to read the political winds. I park in visitor parking. My old employee spot has probably been reassigned already. Inside, the lobby buzzes with energy. People pretend not to stare as I walk to the elevators. Let them stare. The board meeting is on the 40th floor. Executive conference room, mahogany table, leather chairs, wall of windows overlooking the city. I arrive 15 minutes early. Gordon Merritt is already there. He looks older than I remember, tired. The weight of the company showing in his posture. He sees me and stands. "Tanner, I didn't expect you." "I'm here as a shareholder," I say carefully. Confusion crosses his face. "Shareholder?" "We need to talk. After the meeting." Blake says a lot of things. Not all of them are true. Gordon studies my face. We've known each other 30 years. He sees something there that makes him nod slowly. "After the meeting," he agrees. Other board members arrive. Some acknowledge me. Others avoid eye contact. Politics already in play. Blake arrives last. Julia on his arm. He stops when he sees me. "What are you doing here?" His voice is sharp. "Attending the board meeting, as is my right." "You were terminated. You have no rights here." "Actually, I do. Check the bylaws. Any shareholder holding more than 5% can attend board meetings." "You don't hold 5% of anything." "Don't I?" Uncertainty flickers across Blake's face. He doesn't know about the trust, but my confidence is making him doubt. We'll see about this," he says, moving to his seat at the head of the table. Gordon sits at the opposite end. Board members fill the sides. I take a seat near the middle, not deferential, not aggressive, present. Jennifer Hale enters quietly and takes a seat along the wall, observer position. Blake sees her and frowns. "Jennifer, this is a closed board meeting." "Senior auditors are permitted to attend financial discussions," she says calmly. Charter Section 12, Paragraph 4. Blake looks to the board secretary. The secretary nods confirmation. Blake's jaw tightens. "Fine, let's begin." He stands and activates the presentation screen. His first slide, Financial Irregularities, CFO Malfeasance. Here we go. Blake's presentation is immaculate, polished, professional. Every slide, every statistic, every phrase is calibrated to make an impact. He has prepared well, too well, and the precision makes my stomach twist. Not with fear, but with something colder, sharper. "Over the past 18 months, Blake begins, voice steady, eyes sweeping the boardroom, approximately $47 million has been systematically diverted from corporate accounts through fraudulent transactions." The board members lean forward, eyes widening. Most of them are hearing this for the first time. Gasps, subtle but unmistakable, ripple around the table. "The scheme was sophisticated," Blake continues, clicking to the next slide. Charts, financial records, transaction logs scroll into view. Fake vendor contracts, shell company payments, offshore transfers designed to avoid detection. My credentials are highlighted in red, blinking like a target. My digital signature stamped across every incriminating line. The common element in all these transactions is CFO authorization. Tanner Jossman's digital signature appears on every fraudulent transfer. Murmurs erupt, a low hum of disbelief and shock. Some board members exchange glances, others press their hands to their mouths. Blake pauses, letting the weight of his accusation settle, then he drives the point home. "When I discovered this pattern, I immediately launched a quiet investigation. Yesterday, I terminated him to prevent further damage. Today, I'm presenting this evidence so we can begin recovery proceedings." He looks directly at me, eyes sharp, calculating. "Unless Mr. Jossman has some explanation?" All attention swings toward me. The air in the room thickens, anticipation hanging like a storm cloud. I don't stand. I don't raise my voice. I don't let panic, guilt, or indignation show. I speak calmly from my seat, measured, deliberate. "I do have a question, actually," I say. Blake's smile falters. He leans forward slightly. "I'm sure you have many," he says, his sympathy a practiced mask. "Just one," I reply, voice steady. "Could you explain the metadata timestamps on those financial records?" He blinks. Confusion flickers across his face. "The what?" The metadata, I clarify. The electronic signatures showing when those documents were created. The dates show the transactions occurred over 18 months, Blake says, a note of impatience creeping into his tone. The transaction dates show that, I continue, leaning forward slightly, locking eyes with him. But the document creation dates tell a different story. All of these records were created within the past 30 days. A silence like concrete fills the room. Phones hover in midair, pens stop scribbling, even the hum of the air conditioning feels loud. Board members stare, mouths slightly agape, trying to reconcile the discrepancy. Blake recovers quickly. Obviously, the documents were compiled recently for this presentation. Jennifer, I say, still not standing, could you verify the metadata on these records? Jennifer stands and approaches Blake's computer. He tries to block her. Mr. Merritt, she says formally, I need to verify the audit trail. It's standard procedure. Gordon speaks for the first time. Let her look, Blake. Blake steps aside reluctantly. Jennifer pulls up the file properties, studies them, then turns to address the room. Mr. Jossman is correct. The document creation dates are all recent, within the past 45 days. That doesn't mean anything, Blake insists. The transactions themselves? I'd like to access the secure financial database, Jennifer continues. Compare these records to the original transaction logs. That's not necessary. I think it is, Gordon says. His voice is harder now. Jennifer connects to the system. The room waits. After 3 minutes, she looks up. The transactions Mr. Merritt is describing don't exist in the original logs. They were added recently, backdated. That's impossible, Blake says, but his voice has lost confidence. I finally stand. It's not impossible. It's exactly what happened. Blake created fake evidence of embezzlement, used my credentials, built a case to frame me. Why would I do that? To cover your own theft. I pull out the external drive and connect it to the presentation system. These are the real transaction records. $47 million moved through shell companies over 8 months, not to offshore accounts in my name, to companies Blake controls. The screen fills with evidence, real timestamps, real transaction trails, all leading back to Blake. The room erupts. Blake's face goes white, then red. Those are fabricated. He's lying. Jennifer, I say calmly, are these records authentic? Jennifer examines them. Yes, these match the secure database entries. Original timestamps, proper audit trails. Blake moves toward me. You set me up. Gordon stands. Blake, sit down. Dad, he's fabricating. Sit down. Blake freezes at his father's tone. Gordon looks at me. How long have you known? I discovered it 2 nights ago. When I accessed the systems Blake forgot to lock me out of. Why didn't you come to me immediately? Because I needed proof. Proof even Blake couldn't dispute. Gordon turns to his son. Is this true? Blake says nothing. Blake, answer me. I was trying to save the company, Blake finally says. From him? From the old guard holding us back? By stealing $47 million? By securing our future? By framing the man who built this company's financial systems? By forging documents? By lying to the board? Blake's mouth opens, closes, no defense left. Gordon Merritt walks to the head of the table. His movements are slow, deliberate, the weight of betrayal visible in every step. 30 years, he says quietly. I trusted Tanner for 30 years. He never once gave me reason to doubt him. He looks at Blake. You've been CEO for 8 months, and you've already tried to destroy everything we built. Dad, don't. Just don't. Gordon turns to the board. I'm calling for an immediate vote. Termination of Blake Merritt as CEO. Revocation of all corporate authority. Removal from the board. You can't do this, Blake says. I can. I will. All in favor? Hands rise around the table. 1, 3, 5, 8, unanimous. Blake Merritt, you are terminated effective immediately. Gordon's voice cracks slightly. Security will escort you out. Blake stands. This isn't over. I have lawyers. I have resources. You have nothing, I say quietly. Check your accounts. I froze them this morning. Every shell company, every offshore transfer. Federal investigators are already reviewing the evidence. Blake's face goes pale. You can't. I can. I did. You stole from a federally regulated corporation? That's a federal offense. Julia appears at the door. Blake, we need to leave. Now. Security enters. The same guards who escorted me out yesterday. They walk Blake to the door. He stops, turns, looks at his father. I was trying to make you proud. Gordon doesn't respond, just watches his son leave. The door closes. Silence fills the room. Then Gordon turns to me. Tanner, my office. Now. We walk down the hall in silence, past executives pretending not to stare, past assistants whispering into phones. Gordon's office is corner suite. 40 years of history on the walls, photos, awards, memories of building something real. He closes the door and moves to the window. You knew, he says. Before today. You knew Blake was stealing. I suspected. I confirmed it 2 nights ago. Why didn't you call me? Because I needed proof, and because I needed to understand how deep it went. Gordon nods slowly. The trust. You came here as a shareholder. Yes. I'd forgotten about it. The trust. It's been so long. 30 years. You never mentioned it. Never used it. I never needed to. Until now. Gordon turns to face me. How much do you control? 72%. He closes his eyes. My God. You gave it to me to protect the company. That's what I did. I gave it to you because I trusted you more than anyone else, including my own family. His voice breaks. I should have trusted you more. Gordon, no. I let Blake become CEO because he was my son, not because he earned it. I ignored the signs, the impulsiveness, the arrogance. I thought he'd grow into the role. He might have, with guidance. But I didn't guide him. I just handed him power and expected him to know what to do with it. Gordon sits heavily. What happens now? That's your decision. My decision? Tanner, you own the company. On paper. But you built it. You're still the founder. The board still respects you. And you? What do you want? I consider this. What do I want? I want the company to survive. I want the people who work here to keep their jobs. I want what we built to mean something. Then take my place. I shake my head. I'm not a CEO. I'm a CFO. I build systems. I solve problems. You just saved the company. I protected it. There's a difference. Gordon studies me. Then what do you propose? You stay as CEO. I return as CFO. We find someone to replace Blake's operational role, someone competent, someone hungry, someone we can trust. And the trust stays exactly as it is. Protection, insurance, a reminder that ownership isn't the same as control. Gordon extends his hand. Deal. We shake. I'm sorry, he says, for not seeing what Blake was doing, for not stopping it sooner. You couldn't have known. I should have. He's my son. Which is exactly why you couldn't see it. We return to the boardroom. The members are still there, waiting. Gordon addresses them. The board meeting will continue. First order of business, appointing an interim CEO. I nominate Gordon Merritt, one board member says immediately. Seconded. All in favor? Unanimous again. Second order of business, reinstating Tanner Jossman as Chief Financial Officer. Moved. Seconded. All in favor? Unanimous. Gordon looks at me. Welcome back. I nod. Thank you. Jennifer approaches as the board disperses. I've compiled a full forensic report. It shows the complete scope of Blake's activities. How bad? $47 million is just what he moved. He was positioning to take another $80 million within 6 months. Criminal charges? Federal prosecutors have been notified. They'll likely file within days. Good work, Jennifer. Just doing my job. The next 3 days pass in controlled chaos. Federal investigators arrive, lawyers swarm the offices, and media outlets start calling, hungry for a story. Gordon manages public relations. I focus on the financial cleanup. Blake's shell companies crumble. Funds are traced and recovered. Investigators follow every transaction, building a case that cannot be disputed. Blake hires expensive lawyers who file motions, threaten countersuits, and try to make noise. But the evidence is overwhelming. By day 4, Blake's lawyers request a meeting. We gather in a conference room downtown. Blake sits between 2 attorneys. He looks smaller than before, defeated. His lead attorney speaks. My client is willing to cooperate fully with the investigation in exchange for reduced charges. What kind of cooperation? The federal prosecutor asks. Complete disclosure of all financial activities. Return of all stolen funds. Testimony against any co-conspirators. Co-conspirators? I ask. Blake's attorney nods. My client wasn't working alone. Gordon leans forward. Who else? Blake finally speaks. Julia. She planned most of it. The shell companies. The offshore routing. She has connections from her previous work. Your wife helped you steal from my company? She convinced me it was necessary, that you'd never hand me real control, that I needed to take it. Gordon sits back, disgusted. The prosecutor makes notes. We'll need complete documentation, bank records, communications, everything. You'll have it, Blake's attorney says. After the meeting, Gordon and I walk to the parking garage. He's blaming Julia, Gordon says. Probably true, but he still made the choice. He's my son. I keep thinking I failed him somehow. You didn't fail him. You trusted him. There's a difference. Is there? We reach our cars. What happens now? Gordon asks. Blake will likely plead guilty to reduced charges, serve some time. Julia will face separate charges. And the company? Survives. We've recovered most of the funds. The board is stable. Operations continue. Gordon nods. Thank you, Tanner, for everything. Just protecting what we built. I drive home. Mara is in the garden, pulling weeds. How did it go? She asks. Blake's cooperating, naming Julia as a co-conspirator. Throwing her under the bus to save himself? Essentially. Classic. Predictable. She pulls another weed. How's Gordon? Broken, but functional. He'll recover. He's stronger than he thinks. I sit on the porch steps, watching her work. We did it. We did. I couldn't have done it without you. I know. She smiles. But you would have tried anyway. The next week brings more developments. Julia is arrested. Her lawyers fight the charges, but the evidence is clear. Blake testifies against her, detailing how she planned the scheme. She receives a longer sentence than Blake. The media coverage is intense but manageable. Gordon gives careful statements. The board maintains confidence. Stock prices stabilize. Ridgeway survives. At the office, I rebuild the financial systems, add new safeguards, implement additional oversight, make it impossible for one person to do what Blake did. Jennifer becomes director of internal audit. She hires a team of forensic accountants. Together, they create monitoring systems that catch irregularities immediately. The company becomes stronger. Gordon slowly returns to his old self. The betrayal still hurts, but he channels it into rebuilding trust within the organization. 1 month after Blake's termination, Gordon calls me into his office. I've been thinking, he says, about succession, about the future. Okay, I'm 67. I won't do this forever. And when I step down, I want to know the company is in good hands. We'll find someone. I want you to consider it. I shake my head. I'm not CEO material. You saved this company. You outmaneuvered my son. You protected everything we built. That's different from running day-to-day operations. Then we find a CEO, someone to handle operations while you handle strategy and finance. I consider this. Let me think about it. Fair enough. 2 months after Blake's arrest, Ridgeway Metals Energy holds its annual shareholders meeting. Standard procedure, required by law, usually predictable, routine, a series of charts, updates, and polite applause. This year is anything but routine. The auditorium is packed, buzzing with anticipation. Shareholders, analysts, and media representatives fill every seat, their phones poised, notebooks ready. Everyone wants to witness how Ridgeway weathered the scandal, how the company survived the storm that had threatened to topple it. Gordon steps onto the stage, confident, composed. The founder restored, a steady anchor in turbulent waters. Thank you all for coming, he begins, voice clear and resonant. The past few months have been challenging. We faced betrayal from within. We confronted theft. We exposed corruption. He pauses, letting the words sink in. A subtle tension ripples through the room, reminders of the scandal that had dominated headlines and boardroom discussions alike. But we survived, and we're stronger for it. Slides change. Financial recovery metrics, strategic initiatives, new oversight systems, graphs showing restored investor confidence. Applause rises. Heads nod. Questions hover, cautious but curious. Then Gordon does something no one expects. He leans slightly forward, eyes scanning the crowd, and smiles. I want to introduce someone, he says, voice carrying the weight of significance. Someone who saved this company. Someone who has been the backbone of Ridgeway for 30 years. All eyes turn as he gestures to me. Tanner Jossman, our CFO, and the majority shareholder of this company. Silence in the auditorium, then whispers. Confusion. Surprise. 30 years ago, Gordon continues. I placed the majority of Ridgeway's shares in trust. I did it to protect the company from hostile takeovers, from short-term thinking, from people who saw this company as just another asset. He looks at me. I gave that trust to Tanner because I knew he'd protect what we built. I knew he'd make decisions based on value, not profit, on people, not stock prices. I was right. He invites me to the stage. I join him reluctantly. The auditorium erupts in applause. Gordon hands me the microphone. Say something. I look at the crowd. Hundreds of faces. Shareholders who trusted us with their investments. Employees who trusted us with their livelihoods. I don't have much to say, I begin. I did my job. Protected the company, exposed corruption. That's what you're supposed to do. But I want to be clear about something. This company doesn't belong to me. It belongs to everyone who works here, everyone who believes in what we're building. The trust was never about control. It was about protection, making sure Ridgeway stayed true to its mission, stayed focused on creating value, not extracting it. That hasn't changed. That won't change. More applause. After the meeting, shareholders approach me, shaking hands, asking questions. Some are nervous about the ownership revelation. Others are relieved. One older investor pulls me aside. You've been the majority owner for 30 years? Yes. And you never used it? Never tried to cash out? No. Why not? I think about this. Because some things are worth more than their sale price. He nods slowly. Rare perspective these days. Maybe, but it's the right one. At home that evening, Mara has champagne waiting. To victory, she says, raising her glass. To survival, I correct? Same thing. We drink. Gordon offered me CEO position, I say. I know. He called me first. He did? Wanted my opinion on whether you'd accept. What did you tell him? I told him you'd agonize over it for weeks, create elaborate pros and cons lists, and ultimately decline because you know yourself well enough to know what you're good at. I laugh. You know me too well. I do. So what did you tell him? That I'd think about it. Liar. You already decided. I did. I'm declining. Good. CEO would make you miserable. You'd spend all day in meetings listening to people who love hearing themselves talk. Exactly. Better to stay CFO, build systems, solve problems, do what you're actually good at. Agreed. She refills our glasses. What about Blake? Trial is scheduled for spring. His lawyers are still negotiating, but he'll serve time. Good. You feel no sympathy? For Blake? No. He made choices. He faces consequences. Gordon feels guilty. Gordon should. He enabled Blake's worst traits. But guilt and responsibility are different things. We sit in comfortable silence. What happens now? Mara asks. We rebuild, strengthen the company, make sure this never happens again. And the trust? Stays active, stays protective, does what it was always meant to do. She nods. You did well, Tanner. We did well. True. Spring arrives. Blake's trial begins. The courthouse is circus, media vans, protesters, people who have nothing to do with the case but showed up anyway because scandal attracts crowds. I attend every day, not in the front row, not making statements to reporters, just present, watching justice proceed. Blake's defense strategy is simple. Blame Julia, claim manipulation, portray himself as victim. The prosecution's strategy is simpler, present evidence, financial records, emails, recorded phone calls. The trail Blake left is overwhelming. On day 6, Julia testifies. She's composed, angry. Her testimony contradicts Blake's version of events. She admits planning the shell companies, but she insists Blake knew everything, approved everything, profited from everything. The jury watches both of them carefully. On day 9, I'm called to testify. Blake's attorney tries to paint me as vindictive, suggests I fabricated evidence, implies I manipulated the situation for personal gain. I answer each question calmly. Refer to documents, let the facts speak. The prosecutor's questions are straightforward. What did I discover? When? How? I explain the forensic trail, the metadata, the real transaction records versus Blake's fabrications. After 2 hours, I'm excused. Gordon testifies the next day. His testimony is painful to watch. A father confronting his son's betrayal in open court. I trusted him, Gordon says quietly. I gave him authority. I believed he'd grow into leadership. And instead, the prosecutor asks, he stole, he lied, he tried to frame the most loyal person in the company. Blake stares at the table during his father's testimony, doesn't look up once. The trial lasts 3 weeks. The jury deliberates for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Sentencing happens 2 weeks later. Blake receives 7 years federal prison. Julia receives 9. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarm. Mr. Jossman, how do you feel about the verdict? I stop. consider the question. Justice was served. That's what matters. Do you feel vindicated? I feel relieved. For the company, for everyone Blake harmed. What's next for Ridgeway? We continue building, continue growing, continue doing what we've always done. I walk away before more questions come. Gordon is waiting by his car. Thank you for testifying. Of course. I know it wasn't easy. It was necessary. He nods. Blake asked to see me before sentencing. Did you go? I did. What did he say? That he was sorry, that he never meant for things to go this far. Do you believe him? Gordon considers this. I believe he's sorry he got caught. I believe he regrets the consequences. But I don't believe he understands what he actually did wrong. Will you visit him? In prison? I don't know. Maybe. Eventually. He pauses. He's still my son. I understand. Gordon gets in his car. See you Monday. Monday. At home, Mara has dinner ready. Simple meal, comfortable routine. How was sentencing? She asks. 7 years. Fair? Close enough. How's Gordon? Surviving. We eat in silence for a while. Then Mara speaks again. You could retire, you know. You've earned it. Retire to what? Travel, hobbies, not working 60-hour weeks? I like working. I know you do, but eventually I'll slow down, but not yet. The company still needs rebuilding. Always the loyal one. Always. 1 year after Blake's arrest, Ridgeway holds another shareholders meeting. The auditorium is less packed this time. The scandal has faded from headlines. The company has returned to normal operations. Gordon presents strong financial results. Growth in key markets, new contracts, improved efficiency. The shareholders approve the annual report unanimously. After the meeting, Gordon and I walk through the building. Our routine now, weekly tours, staying connected to operations. On the 32nd floor, we pass my old office. Someone else works there now, junior analyst, eager, competent. Do you miss it? Gordon asks. Your old office? No, I have a better one now. Same size. Better view. We continue to the executive floor. Stop at Gordon's office. I have something for you, Gordon says. He hands me a document. It's a revised trust agreement, transferring an additional 10% of his remaining shares to the trust. Gordon, you don't have to. I want to. This way, even after I'm gone, the company stays protected. This gives the trust 82%. I know. It means nobody can ever do what Blake tried to do. Nobody can steal this company. Nobody can dismantle what we built. I study the document. You're sure? Completely. Sign it. I sign. Gordon signs. The trust is sealed. Thank you, I say. Thank you for 30 years of loyalty, for protecting this place, for being the person I always knew you were. We shake hands. Later that week, I'm working late when Jennifer knocks on my office door. Got a minute? She asks. Always. Come in. She sits across from my desk. I've been reviewing long-term projections. We're in good shape. Better than good, actually. That's your doing. The oversight systems you built are excellent. Thank you, but that's not why I'm here. Okay. I've been offered a position. Different company, significant promotion, more money. My chest tightens slightly. Are you taking it? I don't know. I wanted to talk to you first. Jennifer, if it's a better opportunity, it's not about the opportunity. It's about loyalty. This company gave me a chance. You gave me a chance. I don't want to seem ungrateful. Taking a better job isn't ungrateful. It's smart. But no buts. If it's the right move for you, take it. We'll be fine. She sits back. You're sure? Completely. You've built systems that will outlast both of us. You've trained a strong team. This company will be fine. Thank you, Tanner. Thank you for everything you did during the Blake situation. We couldn't have survived without you. She leaves. I sit alone in my office, looking out at the city lights. People move on. Companies evolve. Change is constant. But some things remain: integrity, competence. The belief that building something real matters more than extracting short-term value. Those things endure. At home, Mara is grading papers. Jennifer's leaving, I tell her. I know. She called me for advice. You told her to take the new job? I told her to do what's best for her career. Same thing you told her. Great minds. Or just realistic ones. I sit beside her. How long do you think we'll keep doing this? This? Working, building, protecting. As long as it matters. As long as we can. What happens when we can't anymore? We trust that what we built will survive without us, just like Gordon is trusting now. She's right. Again. The company isn't about us. It's bigger than us. That's the whole point. 3 years after Blake's conviction, Gordon calls me into his office. I'm retiring, he says without preamble. When? 6 months. I'll be 70. Time to step aside. Who takes over? I'm recommending you to the board. Gordon. I know what you're going to say. You're not CEO material. You prefer systems to strategy. You hate meetings. All true. But you're the right person. You understand this company. You care about it. You'll protect it. What about operations? We hire a strong CEO, someone who handles day-to-day. You handle vision and oversight, just like we've been doing, but with official titles. I consider this. 3 years ago, I would have declined immediately. But things have changed. I've changed. Let me think about it. Fair enough. I discuss it with Mara that evening. You should accept, she says. I thought you'd tell me to decline. That was 3 years ago. You're ready now. What changed? You proved you can lead in crisis. Blake's betrayal, the recovery, the rebuilding. You've already been acting like CEO. This just makes it official. I still hate meetings. Hire an assistant who loves them. Delegate. I smile. Always practical. Always right. The next week, I tell Gordon I'll accept. The board approves unanimously. Gordon's retirement party is massive. Current employees, former colleagues, industry partners, everyone who worked with him over 40 years. Speeches are given, stories are shared. Gordon looks both proud and relieved. At the end of the evening, he pulls me aside. Take care of this place, he says. I will. Not just the company, the people. That's what matters. I know. Good. He leaves. His era ends. Mine begins. The transition is smoother than expected. Gordon stays available for advice. The board is supportive. The company continues functioning. I implement changes gradually. More transparency, better communication, stronger oversight. But the core remains the same. Build value, serve customers, protect employees. 6 months into my tenure as CEO, I receive a letter from Blake. He's been moved to minimum security, eligible for early release in 2 years for good behavior. The letter is brief. Tanner, I've had time to think, to understand what I did wrong. Not just the theft, the betrayal, the arrogance. I thought I deserved the company because I was Gordon's son. I didn't understand that respect is earned, not inherited. You earned it. I didn't. I'm sorry for everything. I don't expect forgiveness. But I wanted you to know I finally understand. Blake. I read it twice, then file it away. Maybe he's sincere. Maybe he's just saying what parole boards want to hear. Either way, he's no longer my problem. At home that evening, Mara asks about the letter. Apology, I say. Maybe genuine, maybe not. Does it matter? Not really. Good. He's in the past. Focus on the future. Always do. 2 years later, Blake is released. He moves across the country, starts a small business, nothing related to finance or energy. I hear about it through Gordon. Blake calls him occasionally, trying to rebuild their relationship slowly. He seems different, Gordon says. Humbler, more aware. Good. Think he learned? I hope so, but that's his journey now, not ours. Gordon nods. You're right. 5 years into my tenure as CEO, Ridgeway reaches record revenues. The company is stronger than ever. More efficient, more ethical, more valuable. The board talks about expansion, new markets, strategic acquisitions. I approve the plans carefully. Growth is good, but only if it's sustainable. At the annual shareholders meeting, I present the 5-year results. We've proven something important, I tell the auditorium. That integrity and profitability aren't opposites. That doing the right thing doesn't mean sacrificing success. This company was built on a foundation of trust. Gordon Merritt created that foundation. We've protected it, strengthened it, and will continue to do so. The shareholders applaud. After the meeting, I return to my office, look out at the city, the buildings, the people, the motion of commerce and ambition. Somewhere out there, Blake is rebuilding his life. Julia is still serving her sentence. Gordon is enjoying retirement. And Ridgeway continues, stronger, cleaner, better. My phone rings. Mara. How did the meeting go? Well, very well. Good, come home. Dinner's ready. On my way. I gather my things, lock the office, take the elevator down. In the lobby, employees nod as I pass. Some smile, some wave. I built this, protected this, made this survive, and it will continue long after I'm gone. That's the point. That's always been the point. I drive home. Mara is waiting. We eat dinner, talk about our day, make plans for the weekend. Normal, comfortable, real. Outside, the sun sets over the city. Tomorrow I'll return to Ridgeway, continue building, continue protecting. But tonight, I'm home, where I belong.